Hey, good morning guys. UC here from iTradePrice. It is little after 10:30 Eastern, so just thought of making a video for our weekly charts. So the levels, I'll post that here in a minute, but yeah, apart from the weekly video, I'll try to find some time and make some video around the NinjaTrader platform. I know some of you recently downloaded that, opened the accounts for futures trading, so I'll try to cover all these different topics, from the dashboard, how to open the chart, how to save the templates, and then how to import the indicators and strategies, and all the other important points that you need to know. And definitely, as you spend more time in on those dashboard, you'll feel more comfortable using that. Okay, so let us get started with our weekly view. And by the way, yeah, if you have not, you can check Ainee's Instagram channel. She keeps posting these funny and silly videos. Sometimes you'll find me in those as well. Her handle is Life with Ainee, so look it up if you have not. Okay, all right. Think or swim. Okay, so I think before we go through our regular charts, it would be a good idea to cover some of the GreenBox trades, right? So the GreenBox trades are our swing trade setups, right? So let's take a look at MRK. I will be starting to initiate along in this name this week, right? My buy zone is from all the way from 104 till like maybe 100, right? This bottom trend line of this channel can be a good buy zone as well. We have seen market bounce from this level multiple times, so I'm anticipating that it will get some sort of a bounce from here as well this time around. So you can see, yep, right here, right? We saw bounces from here. So if it gets this time around here, yes, we are below the the uptrend line, but this is a channel support right here and the horizontal support, so that can be a good bounce zone for us. Let's take a look at lows. Yep, getting there. So the last time we traded this name, we got in right here, right? Why? Because this was resistance previously, right? And once it broke out of that level, we wanted to get in at the retest, and we got our nice $10–15 bounce from there. This time around it broke that, so I'm trying to get in, and if it gets there, of course we'll have some support right here and the trend line support. So that would be a good area. I think below 205 to all the way 200 can be a nice one for this one. Okay, let's take a look at race. Move this around, sorry. Race. So I am in a long-term accumulation mode in this one, but if you are a short-term swing trader, not bad areas, right? So last time we traded this one right just above 300, we saw a nice bounce. This time around, yes, we saw a little bit of bounce, but not that much. So if I did not trim anything on the bounce, I actually bought here as well. So we saw a nice bounce from here. So if you are already in the trade, you can definitely had a chance to trim. It jumped around $10–12 from 284 level. If it keeps going down, I'm not adding here. I will only be adding around 272 level if it gets down to that level. Otherwise, I'm just holding, and sometimes I get into long-term leaps, or otherwise sometimes I get into shares. So depending on how your account size is, what your trading goals are, you can definitely look into that. Nike has served us well in the past in our swing trades, right? These were our buys, so a nice bounce. This one kind of went back down, but we got added more on the next level down, and we saw a nice bounce up, healthy bounce. This one as well. So this one we saw a bounce, but still I think we need to get it back towards 102, 105 for some nice return, right? So I know some of you did trim as it bounced after the earnings, so it's up to you if you're holding or not. I'm in long-term leaps. I'm still kind of holding. If it goes down, this would be my next buy zone at 84, because we saw a nice bounce from that zone previously. Okay, Disney, this one has been a turd. Looks like, for now we're just stuck in this one. I did not trim right when it when it bounced from this green box zone, I did not trim. Maybe I should have, but it's okay. You know, it's not going anywhere. So we'll see how it goes. But my next add area is not until 72 to 70 level if it gets there, right? That's where this trend line is as well. And it's just sort of the structure low can come into play as well if it gets there. And I just don't want to buy prematurely. That's one of the reasons as well, because right now we're still in a downtrend from this one. JP Morgan, I did trim a little bit position on this one when we saw the bounce, right? But I'm still holding half of it. I don't know what I'll do with it. I'm just you know, sort of on a watch board right now, because this was a resistance for the longest time. Once we saw a breakout, it's now retesting that level, right? And holding so far, to be honest with you. So not bad. If it can keep on holding this one and the market sentiment remains fine, we can easily get back towards 150 and then above, right? But if it breaks down, my next area to add is not until 138 to 134, like something around this one, because that's where we saw the bounce from. So patience on this one, I would say. AMAT, I did not get in this one, but if I know some of you messaged me, so if you're holding this one, that's fine, looks fine, right? Because on a weekly chart, this was sort of the breakout, bearish breakout candle, which has not seen any follow through to the downside, right? So 2 weeks of consolidation, right? Support level right here. So looks fine, right? Who knows, it wants to go back towards 145. Looks like it can. So if you're holding, that's fine. I think your stop loss should not come into play until it closes below in a weekly time frame below 130, right? So it's fine so far. Let's take a look at MCD. I actually did initiate a position in this one. I'm a little bit underwater, right? Because I was hoping that we would see a bounce from this support zone. It did not. It broke down a little bit. So I will add to this name around this uptrend line around 255, 256, okay? Because that's where, if I zoom out, that's where the long-term uptrend line is as well, right here, right? And we have a nice horizontal support level as well, around 256. So probably a good level to put an alert in case you forget about it. All right, LEN. I did trim a little bit on the bounce from this one, but still, again, I'm holding my core position. I will add to this name below 108 towards 106. That's where I think we should have a bounce if it gets there, right? Because you can see this was the resistance zone. Once we broke out, this became support, so a nice bounce. So if it wants to come down back there, this could be a nice bounce zone towards, at least towards the downtrend line, right? And then if we can see if it wants to break out from there or not. Okay. ENPH, this one is still in a downtrend, but the momentum of the downtrend is slowing down, I would say, right? You can see the length of these down moves is just sort of dying down, and now we are seeing these overlapping candles. So yeah, we might see a little bit of flush towards 108. That's where I will add, and then probably, you know, we'll see how it goes from there. But right now, yes, downtrend, but it is slowing down, just like this one, right? And we saw a nice bounce from there. So if we get a bounce from there, I would like to definitely trim some and then hold some. MRK, I think we already talked about this one. Okay. All right, let's get into our weekly review. QQQ weekly view. Let's take a look at month, because month of September just ended. So long term, right, we are in an uptrend, but in the past couple of months, the months are overlapping. We don't see heavy bearish, you know, where we would see that the charts are breaking down or the structure is breaking down. That stuff is not happening, right? So if you can see, this was the longest sort of the time. For the longest time, this was a resistance. Once we broke above that, we haven't seen any follow through to the upside, right? So some resistance came in, and now we ended the month with the bearish trend bar, right? So we closed the month towards the low end of its range. I would say if it goes back towards 346, that's the level for you to look to maybe see some sort of a bounce, because we have our support zone right there, right? In a weekly view, it's still sort of a sideways to slightly down bull flag kind of a thing, right? Yes, we have series of lower highs and lower lows, but this last week we did not see a heavy breakdown of the follow through of this bearish bar, right? So it is holding this level right here, 355-ish level, right? That's where we saw a breakout from. We saw a retest, and now we're again seeing a retest and hold, right? But if it does not hold, if it does not go back above 363, right, the previous week's high, then definitely we have some sort of a pressure to the downside. We saw some rejection. All right, somebody's outside. Give me 1 second. Let me check. Okay, so in the daily time frame, we saw a rejection from the structure high, right? This was the 2 days of balance rejection, and then again we saw a gap up open on Friday. We tried to attempt to fill this gap, couldn't do it, right? And then it got rejected and closed. Still, from a daily perspective, a higher high, higher low. So very short-term move is fine, but definitely I would say we don't want to see the price go back below 357, right? The low of Friday should, if it holds, it's good. If it does not, then we have more weakness ahead, right? Because that's just the way the structure looks. But a long-term basis, you really need to get above 363 and then 367 to move towards the channels trend line here above, like around 373 or something like that. Okay. SPY monthly view. Let's take a look at the month. To be honest, yes, we saw a bearish sort of a breakdown, right, back below 429.9. That was the sort of the resistance. We have multiple touch points there, right? That's where we saw price getting rejected, historically speaking. Once we saw a breakout, we sort of retested that level and bounced, but this time around we broke down. So from that perspective, yes, a pullback. But in a weekly view, you can see we kind of touched this uptrend line and nicely bounced. But from the structure perspective, yes, it closed below 430. So that is a little bit, warrants a little bit of caution, right? As long as it's below 430, it can definitely break down and try to move back towards 416 level. That's where we saw the breakout from the previous breakout. So that could be your potential support level. It wants to break below this uptrend line and keep continuing to move towards the downside. To the upside, you really need to get to see this thing above 430. In a daily view, you can see, above 430, we saw a rejection, right? So this was 430 rejection, 430 rejection, top wick. So 430 is your reference point to get bullish above, right? Otherwise, this just remains weak. Okay, let's talk about Apple. iPhone 15 came out, but really, I think people are just fed up of them adding more cameras to the phone and nothing really concrete. So, but other than that, I think their business is more towards services now than product. But anyways, from chart perspective, I would say if it back tests this broken down trend line, right, we can see a little bit of bounce. We can see from a weekly perspective, we had all this resistance zone, and once we broke out above that, we saw a retest and then the move back up. So this could be a retest and the back test of this broken down trend line before we see a move up. But you can see we broke this support zone, right? So as long as we are below that in a daily time frame, right here, right, 173, 173.1, we have multiple touch points in daily right there that we couldn't get above. But if we get above that, then 175 to 177 is your target zone on the upside. Okay, Amazon monthly view. Let's take a look at monthly view first. It's all right, but I think it was sort of expected because this was sort of the support. Once we saw a breakdown, right, we saw a retest of that level, then we saw a move back down, back up, and now we saw some sort of retest of that level. So it, definitely some resistance here. So if we need to be bullish, we really need to get it above 142, 146 time frame, level. Okay, in a weekly view, it did break this uptrend line, right? But not a heavy downside follow through, right? So it closed really close to its previous week's low, right? With a little bit of bottom wick. So, and that bottom wick is it's fine. It's good because this was the support level. So we closed above that support level. So now, as long as in daily time frame, I would say we remain above 126, it is okay, and we can see and play towards the structure high, which is around 132, and then we have a gap fill towards 135, right? As long as it's above 126, because this breakdown, right, this bar that we saw a bearish breakdown did not see any follow through to the downside. In fact, buyers kept on showing up and closing the price up towards the high end of its daily range. Okay. Tesla, everyone's favorite name. Monthly view, a little consolidation, right? Sort of indecision type candles in a monthly view, right? We have top wick, we have long bottom wicks, right? And in this past month, we have a top wick and a bottom wick as well. So not a whole lot going on from monthly perspective. And here's the weekly view. Channel up, right? This one right here. So we are in the channel up, and we are seeing a little bit of move back towards the downside. We really need to see this 235 hold because we have multiple touch points there. We saw a bounce from there. So this the week of September 18th did not see any downside follow through. In fact, we saw a little bit of buyers show up and hammer bar. So if we start seeing move it back above, I would say around 260 is my sort of a line in the sand to be bullish above aggressively. Is 260 because that's where we saw a breakdown from. Let's draw a line there. So we have this whole gap, right? This was the resistance, then it became support, and now it's again the resistance zone, right? Between 258 and 260. If we can get above this one right here, then we can try to play it towards 279 and this downtrend line, right? If it breaks down, gets rejected from there, then this is your natural target, 235 and this uptrend line, right? So, and again, there is multiple ways you can trade this name. There are lower time frame intraday charts as well that you can trade this name, but if you're looking for a more higher time frame, that's the view. Nvidia, monthly view, first monthly red bar, right? From that perspective, yes, the pressure is towards the downside, but from weekly perspective, we did manage to close back above this uptrend line, so that's a good sign, but it is in sort of a balance, right? So 442, right, 2 touch points almost, and below we have 410, right? So stuck in this range. If it breaks down, 403 is the level below, 386 is the level below to target, right? If it breaks out, then the structure high is around 460 and then 489 level. Okay, so in the daily view, I would say right here. So I think, yes, it did move back up, but not in an aggressive manner like this. So there was no rush. There was no aggressive buying. It was a good range, sort of bottom wicks, top wicks, gap ups, overlapping of daily bars, things like that. And this is where we saw the breakdown from. This was support. This broke down, right? And now we tested that back level up. So if above 443, yes, you can move back towards 445 initially to 460. If it breaks down, 428, right? That's where I would like to see it hold because we have 2 daily touch points there. If it does not hold that, then definitely we have to move down. Okay. Microsoft monthly chart looks fine actually, because the bearish bars in the monthly time frame are overlapping. So you know, from that perspective, it's just sideways between 312 and 340, right? 2 months of just sideways movement again in the monthly time frame, right? So you can see this was the resistance, right? Once we broke out above that, so we're just sort of retesting that level. So nothing really bad. Okay, so just a pullback from that perspective. There you go, right? A pullback, right? So bounce, we saw a little bit of bounce, but I think if it does not hold, you know, this 320 to 325, it cannot take that level out, which is halfway through this bearish bar. Then pressure remains to the downside, and then we can go towards 292 maybe, because that's where the next major support level is, because this was the resistance, right here resistance, right here, we broke out above that. So this could be a FVG gap as well, right? Fair value gap, because you can see oops, I don't know if I can select that right there. So this is your FVG gap in a weekly time frame. Okay, in a daily view right here, I would say this is your level 321, 322. As long as it's below that, it's caution, right, for the bulls. Once above that, yes, we can say yes, it's you know, it's reversing and it wants to go towards 330, right? For now, it's just caution and weak. Netflix monthly chart, resistance came in exactly where one should have expected, right? Breakdown right here, retest and failure, stairs back up, rejection right at this level where we saw it previously, move back down. Now where do we try to attempt a bounce? I would say between 370 and 350. So right around 360 to 355 could be a pullback in a monthly time frame, and FVG as well, right? In a weekly time frame, we are below this channel, so that means some downside pressure remains. Towards 355 could be the play if you know, market momentum remains down. For bullish play, I'd really want to see I would say maybe a retest of 390, right? 395. It's just not that clear where you want to attempt this thing long right now. I just don't see any compelling reason, right? Because you can see lower lows, lower highs, more week daily red bars. Bullish days don't see any upside follow through, right? All these 3 bullish days don't see any follow through. In fact, sellers take over. So first, you know, that corrector has to change, right? So we need to see stuff like that where the bearish days are not seeing any downside follow through and buyers are stepping in and, you know, giving it a nice upside momentum. I don't see it right now, so don't need to be a hero and try to pick a bottom here on this one. Okay, let's take a look at Google. I'm holding leaps on this one, and you know, my reasoning is that it is above 126 and it wants to go to 143 because, you know, 126.4 was support. It broke down from there. We retested that level after a long time, got rejection, bounced back up, broke that high, retested that, broke that high, and now we kind of retested that recently. And also this weekly bearish bar did not see any downside follow through, so that gives me some good feeling about this name, right? So if we can slowly start to build back above towards 138, and then 143 would be my ultimate target, but 126 and below is weakness, right? If it breaks down below 126, yeah, I'll just have to maybe take a loss on my long-term leaps, because then they will start losing value or not. I don't know. I will see, because if it breaks down and closes back above 126.4 in a weekly time frame, right, we're still fine. But so I'm not worried about from day to day perspective, right? And earnings are coming up, so that could be a make or break time for this name. Okay. All right. So thanks for your time, guys. We'll talk again tomorrow in Discord. If you have any questions, special chart requests, let me know, and I can create the levels. I might have some time later in the day, and I'll try to record the Ninja Trader video today as well, hopefully. Okay, so stay tuned on that. Thank you and have a good rest of your Sunday. Talk soon.